So each month I go live with my Mixed Media Society members and we make something together. And our latest one was this adorable little baby boo ghost. And I just had so much fun with him. He's so easy, very straightforward, that I wanted to do something special for my YouTube friends and followers as well. So I invite you to join me for this very exciting, adorable, real-time tutorial for you today in honor of Halloween, my favorite holiday. And if you want the reference and everything so you can follow along exactly, I'll just leave all the information in the description box for you. All right, let's dive in. I'm so excited. So I'm using a 14 by 18 canvas panel. I absolutely love working on canvas panels because when it's time to hang your art, you can just pop it in any standard size frame. Just take out the glass and you can pop your panel right in instead. So I'm gonna be making today's, for me and my Mixed Media Society members, like a complementary piece, which means I'm gonna be using all the same colors, but in a different arrangement on today's project panel. So that means we're gonna be using purple, some pink, some orange, a tiny bit of blue, and some browns, and lots of Stabilo All Pencil. So the same colors, but a completely different arrangement on today's project. And of course, this is a wonderful standalone. So if you want to grab the reference, again, the information for how to grab that is in the description. But I will say, if you are a club member or a Neat Suite member, you can find this in the vault section of the Neat Suite. And I will explain what the Neat Suite is in the description box. I am following my tried and true Mixed Media Hamburger order of operations. So what is this? This is how I do almost all of my mixed media projects. It's super straightforward. It's just like layers of a hamburger, and I follow the same recipe. This is something I invented out of an accident about maybe 12 years ago, and I've been teaching it ever since. And it's so nice when you're doing mixed media to follow a recipe. You can actually erase on almost every single layer as well. It just makes mixed media so easy. So this is how we're gonna do it today. We start with your canvas, which we have. Next, you can do collage. I'm gonna skip that layer today. You can just go right into layer 3, which is always gesso and acrylics, okay? So we're gonna start on this layer. The collage is always optional. You can always add it and you can always skip it if you want to. Here we are already. We're already cruising by. We're on layer 2, art supply 3, okay? So for this one, I want to be able to display these side by side. So I want my bottoms to kind of match up. So for those who are in my Mixed Media Society, I'm going to extend this floor. Oh, I'm going to extend this floor this way. Okay, so I'm just going to put like a lazy line here. And then I'm going to repeat. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep the colors true. So see how this quote unquote wall is purple. So I'm going to keep that true over here. Now, one thing I did when I was doing my baby boo, and today I would consider this my baby Reaper. I also teach drawing, and so I like to use a triangle just to keep my verticals vertical. So the way you use triangle is you line up one of these sides across the top, and now I know that this is totally vertical. But you don't need a fancy triangle, but it sure helps. You can do this with anything. You can do it with like another canvas. You could line this canvas up at the top, okay, and now you have a perfectly straight vertical. So there you go. You can use this totally, anything. Here, we'll do this too. We'll line this over up on the side here. And then I have to double check I have 2 lines, and I'm like, which line was it? Oh, it's this one. Okay, so we can use our other canvas as a horizontal, and now we can go across that way. Oh, it doesn't look straight. So let's just reorg this way, line it up, Oh yes, here we go. That's why it's nice that this is clear, because you can see through it, so it helps you. All right, so why am I using a Stabilo All Pencil? That is an integral part of the hamburger method, okay? And it is always on layer 3. So this is where I use my water soluble supplies. Now this is super water soluble, so it means it's gonna smear like crazy, but I do that quite on purpose. Okay, so I'm gonna actually go ahead and thicken this line. So what happens is when we get to this, the layer after this, which is the sealer layer, and I don't want to jump ahead too much. And that's how everything gets smeared together. This is mixed media. It's like squishy and smeary. It's all good. All right, so I have my wall line here and I have my floor line here. Now, I know I said this is erasable at every layer. So how is this erasable? Well, this line shouldn't be here. So I can just take a wet paper towel and I can literally erase that line because it's water soluble. If you just add water, it melts away. Okay, boom, already erasable. I know, so fun. All right, so let's get our paint colors rock and rollin' ready. I'm gonna do this little wall panel first, and then I'm gonna sketch my little guy afterwards, just to get the party started here. So this is gonna be purple and a little pink and a little white. This white is old. Wake up, white. We got painting to do. Okay. And I'll show you, this is my fun, easy way to make backgrounds and all sorts of things. Whoop. I'm just going to take a little bit of each of the color, except for white. Whoop. And the wall goes, yeah, to the ground. Well, this is actually a wall, so we could go like do a vertical. I might do that for this one, since it's a wall. And then I'll show you my background for the actual background. It really doesn't matter. I mean, it's a baby reaper. You can use your artistic license to figure out what the heck that really means. But I realize this is a wall. Now, when my paint hits that Stabilo line, it's gonna quote unquote activate it. That means it's gonna smear it, because anything liquid that hits a water soluble anything is going to make it smear. And so that's what it's doing. By the way, I have these hamburger printouts for anybody who wants them for free. I totally should have started with that. Completely forgot to say that. Okay. Now, if we want this color to be kind of matchy with our little ghosty poo, we're going to also need to add in some white. So we have that kind of like fading. So we have purple, and then just getting a little bit of white, removing any schmutz. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. And that kind of echoes the feeling that we had in our baby boo. For all of my club members that are following along today. All right, so I know we get fancy. Even when we do cartoon paintings, you can still get a little fancy. That's quite a lot. All right, let's wash our paintbrush out. And why don't we get the brown going as well for the ground? I think it would be cool if they kind of like, you know, when they're sitting side by side, one kind of segues into the other. Just get that started, and then we will draw out our dude. All right, so I'm just gonna, I don't even remember how I made it. Boop, boop, boop. So I'm just gonna use a couple browns, just a dark brown and a medium brown, and then I always smoosh in a little yellow ochre, because it's nice to, even if you just blend like any more than two colors together, it just looks cooler than if you just have the one. All right, so again, when I hit that Stabilo, it's gonna squish. And let me just show you really quick before I forget. Here is that Stabilo on my sheet. It's always a part of here. Now, I have to say, if you don't like this smearing, just swap this out for something permanent instead, okay? So you could use like a paint marker or a colored pencil that's not water soluble, like a classic colored pencil would be fine. So you can choose. I just choose to do the Stabilo because I kind of freaking love, I love the smeariness that it does. I can't remember which one is my correct line, so I'm just gonna go with that one. Okay. And we're gonna just carry that over here. And carry it straight across. I also have my monthly giveaways coming up on November 1st. I do them every month. If you do follow along with me today, you can share yours in my Facebook group and just add the hashtag Karen's YouTube and you'll automatically be entered to win one of my art books. And I have 26 to choose from, so it's kind of a lot. You can take your pick. Right now I'm doing I just published 31 days of Baby Boos and Spooky Dudes. And we have a lot of people following along that challenge. So there's a lot of fun stuff going on all the time at Awesome Art School and for free in my Facebook group. All right. So we have some sort of a ground. I'm going to add a little bit more of the yellow ochre. Come on, I like to be a little fancy. Even cartoons deserve some fancy pantsness. I'm just going to swish in. I'm like slobbing in some yellow ochre. Just makes it look woody. Whatever that means. All right. So while we wait for that to dry, we're going to grab our reference again. And we're just going to pencil in our adorable little baby Reaper. Now remember, we can erase. So like, don't be afraid to go in here. So let's start. You can transfer him if you want to. But this is so simple. I think we can do it, even if you have no drawing skills. This is just an oval. All right, so, and we need to make a lot of room for the big side. Maybe we do the big side first. So let's see, we're gonna scoot over a little bit on the ground here. Okay, and then we're gonna have this go weep. Something like this. That's probably like too leany, but that's okay. Okay, so we have this. And then it's like has a thickness, so let's just give it a little thickness. And then the top, hilarious, it goes over, and this actually needs to go into my purple, which isn't dry yet, so I'm just gonna wait on that for a second. Okay, so we have our, this goes, oh, what the heck, I'm just going to put it right into my wet purple. Okay, so we have our scythe. So funny. This is like too bent, so we can even fix it. And again, you're like, but it's like you're making a mess. But remember, we can erase. We're going to be like having paint over there. It's all good. And then we're going to put in our little face. So let's start with this. It's almost like a triangle. So we have the top of the triangle. And then it kind of just bends over here. Okay, so we have triangle. And then here we have a very basic shape. And I'm just going to do a squiggly bottom. This arm is just going to be so skinny and adorable. And I'm going to hold off on the hands for right now. The legs are just a single line. So like 1, 2. It's so cute already. And then we just need to make this oval inside. So here's our like funny oval shape. Okay, in here. You're gonna see how messy my drawing is? We're gonna end up using all those lines to our advantage. And then we're gonna do great big eyeballs here and here. And then we're gonna do our little silly circles in the center. Okay, boop, 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 boop. Okay, and you can go over your lines as much as you need to. I feel like this is like, I need to fix this a little bit so it's not quite so long. And I like that there's a little chunk out of it. So there we go. And then, as promised, erasable. You can, ooh. And honestly, don't get caught up in this because we're going to paint anyways. So I can just take back some of my lines. Or you can just leave it because we're going to be painting in this space. This is going to become like a dirty off-white anyways. So, all right. So once you have your drawing more or less as you want it, we're going to dry this with our hair dryer or let it air dry, and then we're going to come back and we're going to start painting. So I'm going to dry this, and when I'm back we are going to keep going. Okie dokie. So we are going to do the little scythe. We're going to paint. I was going to do the background, then I was like, actually let's do the foreground, guys, and then we can like skirt our little background around it. You can go either way. It doesn't really matter. And because the hamburger layering is so forgiving, it's just so easy. Just follow me, I will show you why. Okay, so I'm going to do the little scythe now, and I don't know that I have enough paint, so I'm just going to add a little bit more before I get started. And again, I literally take a dry brush, I'm going to scoot it in the one brown, scoot it in the second brown, what? Get this started, and then I'm going to swoosh the lighter one in on top, wet on wet. And actually, now that I've straightened this side out, I think I'm going to like actually bend it a little bit more. I'm going to go back to bending it. And if you hit this Stabilo line, awesome. It'll just melt it and it'll become part of the handle here. And if you don't, that's also fine. We'll hit it with the background. So here I'm going to swish in the yellow ochre. And we're going to have it go all the way till it hits our floor. Alright, zhoo, zhoo, zhoo. Wonky tonky, and here we go. Okay, so now we have our scythe handle. Super accurate. Okay, and now we have to do our scythe itself, which is like a gray. So I'm going to use a black. And I'm going to use a little bit of the blue because it's sort of a nod to the blue that I used in Baby Boo's eyes. So that way they're going to be, and when you have like two separate compositions, but you use the like same exact color, then they automatically kind of match. So that's what we're going for here. And that and like the theme is very themey. All right, so black and some blue. I just roughly chuck them into my paint and away we go. You could also add a little white. Maybe we do that, and I like the little like holes in them for some reason. That's making me happy. I'm gonna add a little white because it's quite dark. Boop. Make sure you go over far enough. So I'm gonna make it lighter on top because the sun would be hitting and making a nice reflection on our murderous knife. Might as well make it accurate. And then we just get this. Should come to a nice deadly point. Beep. At the end. And ta-da! Let's not overthink it. Let's just get that sucker on there. And then we're going to use the same colors for our little Reaper baby. Little baby Reaper. Again, just some blue and some black and a little white. Zoop. And just haphazardly get this all filled in. I love projects like this because you don't have to be accurate, you don't have to be precious. You can literally just like slap on your paint and then it's like magically adorable. And why make things easy, I mean hard, when you can make them not hard. Okay, so we put our little, put them right up to there, and then we're gonna just sloppily fill in our little Reaper's body. I have quite a collection of fun little Halloween projects in the Mixed Media Society. I will show you some of those. I have like a haunted house, a big haunted house. I have a big tree and cemetery. I love Halloween. And then our little arm is just gonna go straight across. And now for his little fingers and legs. So first we're gonna go leg, leg. And then fingers, we're just gonna go 1, I'm gonna add a little white on top. 1, 2, 3. So I'm just scooching my brush literally 1, 2, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And we'll use our paint pens to like clarify that. And then up here, we can do the same thing for these fingers. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3. I'm like honestly using my brush as a stamp. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You can hardly see them because they're outlined. They're all black. So stamp a little white in there so that you can see them a little bit better. All right. We are cruising along. All right, let's get our background going. And before we do, I just want to pop in some pumpkins. Just sharpening my Stabilo all here. And I think for this guy, we have this whole big area on the left. So we can do another cobweb, just like we have on our baby boo. And then I think down here, a little collection of pumpkins would also be good. So I'm going to do some very simplified ones also. So we can start with just like a squished little oval. And then I usually just do like a segment in the middle. So it's like one, it almost looks like an apple at this stage. And then just 2 more segments is all you need to make a pumpkin. And then we will do a crooked stem. So there's one pumpkin, and we can have another one. Big round oval, and then 2 more sections. And then this stem can maybe be going in the other direction. Okay, and then I do think it would be cute to have another one maybe over here. So there's something kind of orangey in the corner. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a little baby one over here too. Now I can hardly see it because the purple is so dark. So this is where the gesso comes in to help us out. And so just as a reminder, we're still here on layer 2 and 3. So as long as we're under layer 4, we can use these. These can go in any order. So you can do collage, paint, and then your water soluble or permanent drawing materials, but you can also like start with this and then add this and this. So these can go in any order. And then once you hit layer 4, you don't go back. You then proceed forward. Okay. So in my, I actually have a book of this as well. And there's like a big arrow, circular arrow here. So you can use any of these in any order. So I'm going to go back right now and I'm going to add a little gesso, which is fine because I'm still underneath the sealer layer. So I'm going to add a little gesso because my orange has terrible coverage. The warm colors and acrylics have terrible coverage. So in order to get my pumpkin to stand out, I'm going to add a little gesso because that will prep. It'll do 2 things. One is it covers over the purple. This is just white gesso. And so it'll give a little oomph to my poor pumpkin that's going to be going in. So it has a chance of survival. Has a chance of showing up. So just going to sloppily add some here for my future pumpkin. And it's all dirty because of my Stabilo, and that is fine. Okay, so now my pumpkin will be able to live better. You can even pop some on the bottom here for these ones because the brown is going to be hard to cover up. Okay, so that helps us immensely to make sure that our orange is going to cover up. So now it's background time. It's my favorite time. And I'm going to use mostly just white, and we basically want to make it look like the baby boo, which is like grungy white. And this is grungy because it mixed in with all the Stabilo. So we want this same kind of grungy, edgy gray, which is super fun. So I'm going to grab some more white. Where's my white? Here it is. And I'm just going to plunk it down here. And this is my fast and fun way to do backgrounds. Okay, so I'm just got a little bit of black. So what we do is we're going to do little X's. Okay, so we're going to do X. I usually do 2. I don't know why. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. But it's just an X. It's my favorite way to do backgrounds. It's the equivalent. I always say when I do watercolors, I do like a kindergarten sky, which is just like shoving paint around. This is my kindergarten sky for acrylics. It just means anybody can do it. Which, as you know, I'm just a big fan of easy, easy, easy. Life is so hard. Let's make art easy, easy, easy. I don't want art to fall under the hard category ever. Like everything else is already hard. Okay, and all of a sudden it's like it goes really fast. So I'm just flip-flopping, alternating between the white, and then just like the black. So if you add a little black, it just gets a little gray hopping. But me personally, I just love the mottled look of it. I don't know, so much. It just looks cool. And then it's an easy way to like add different chunks of color here and there and everywhere. Okay, so I'm gonna go up to my pumpkin. Boop. And it is fine if it hits that Stabilo and it drags it. That is cool. I'm actually just gonna cover over the stems because it's, I'm too impatient to like carve around them neatly because I'm 5 years old. Okay, and see how it's like you get this kind of mottled. So I think that will blend with nicely with our little ghosty boo-boo. Now, if you wanted to like, another thing I like to do is like in the corners, I will darken it up in the corners and then I kind of go lighter as I come into the painting. Don't overthink it. Just slap down some X's and let's party. It does get harder once we get by our scythe. And it shouldn't matter if you hit your Stabilo because this whole thing is grungy 1G. So that's fine. So I went into my scythe, but it's acrylic paint. So you just paint it back in. If you lose it, just paint it back in, my friends. It's the beauty of acrylics. You can layer over a million times and it is fine. All right, I'm gonna activate this Stabilo line. That had like an incorrect line there, so just paint it right over it. It's smeared. That's fine. And cut in around his little handy poo. Whoop. Boop, boop. Okay, overall, looking fine. And we just literally do this until all of the white space is done, filled in. I'm gonna squish beneath our, excuse me, little scythe. Can I wiggle my way in here? Thank you. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Whoop. All right, chuck. Just don't want the white of the canvas. We want to just cover up all the white of the canvas, even if it's with white paint. And just trying to maintain those little X's as best as I can, even though this is a skinny space to weasel in. We can redefine those outlines when we get to the sealer layer as well. So don't you worry about that. We're just going to keep this going. What to do up here. Whoop! Went right into my scythe. And get a little bit more. Oh, that's probably too much. Just weasel it into these areas. And sloppily just get all that canvas covered with paint. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, and here I don't think I did that. And here I did, but it just looks very gray. Okay. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Okie dokie. So the object for this phase is to make sure we have everything like painted that we want. So let's do let's get this little pumpkin colors, and his face is almost the same pumpkin colors too, which is so cute. I can't even with this little guy. All right, so for the pumpkins, I'm just gonna have like straight up orange, and I'm gonna put it next to my gesso. Really awesome if the paint came out. Okey-dokey. So for our little face, I'm gonna start around these sides. Orange has terrible coverage, so it's not you. If you're like, why is this going on so poorly? It is not your fault. It's just orange. Whoop. And it's grunging up with my Stabilo very quickly. And that's fine. It should be kind of shaded around the edges anyways. And then I'm just going to add a touch of the gesso so I lighten up the kind of middle of his face. Super sloppy. We will fix it with the paint markers. Don't you worry. I don't have my glasses on, so my eyes are like, where are you painting? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just guessing it's going in the right place. And I think add a little bit more gesso to lighten up the inside of his face. And the reason I'm using white gesso and not white paint is white paint is a little like black, where it's like sometimes, a lot of times it's like too much. And gesso is not 100% opaque, so it's a little gentler. All right, now we have our pumpkins over here. And it's activating that Stabilo, as you can see, which is fine, because we want our little grungy reaper to have some grungy pumpkins. I mean, it's Halloween, so the darker, the grungier, the better. Whee! Slopping some orange paint all around the Stabilo. And activating it like crazy to make some lovely dirty pumpkins. And then I'm really glad we put the gesso down over here, because it never would have covered over that purple in a million years. Now this one I can't even see the Stabilo, so we'll add that back in. Because we're under the sealer layer, so we can still go in any order. Okay, and then this little guy, I'm just gonna swipe a little more orange, because he's losing some here. And then blend in a little bit more of the gesso. And actually, I'll just leave that like that so I can show you how the rest of that works. I'll even use that little gelato to show you. All right, now for the whites of his eyes, I'm going to go and use the white. And this will be good, because see how I went inside the lines with my orange. Okay, and then I'm just gonna activate for right now. I'm activating the Stabilo, and we'll clean it up with the paint markers. It's another reason why I'm obsessed with my Hamburger system, because not only can you erase on every layer, but you can also like fix your mistakes with every layer too. It's just magical. All right, so it's a little dirty and grungy, but we will clean it up in time for the final phase. Just get rid of the white of the canvas. That's our only goal for the moment. Okay. And then before we switch gears, to do anything else, I'm just gonna like fix my scythe because I got a little crazy with the white background paint. So do a little reconstructive surgery here, no problem. Or I can do the same thing with the scythe at the top. Although I actually don't mind it looking a little like, it's like ratty at the top and the bottom, which looks kind of cool. All right, I'll just leave that like that. All right, so right now what we want to do is before we go back in to do anything else, we need to dry everything. So I'm going to dry this with my hair dryer, and then we'll be ready to go back for the next step. Okay, just to recap, we have our canvas. We skipped a collage. I mean, we're working with alternating the Stabilo All with our acrylic and our gesso. So we are still under this layer. So now I'm gonna go back with my Stabilo, okay, and I'm just gonna outline a bunch of stuff. And we lost a lot of lines when we painted. So in order to get this same quality of grunge, we're gonna use a lot more Stabilo, okay? And the whole trick for that is then when we go to the next layer, which is our sealer layer, it will all activate those lines and smudge it up. Now there's this little in-between layer with this gelato, which I will show you today. This is also optional. I mean, all of these are optional underneath those Mod Podge, this sealer layer. But just to know, just pay careful attention to what your desired results are and whether you need to choose something permanent here or water soluble. So in this one, again, I'm choosing the water soluble because I want this messy, edgy, sketchy look for our Halloween effect. Okay, so I'm scrumbling this up. I can even add some little lines here at the bottom, which will just grungify it up even more. Okay, so if you didn't want this to smudge, you would just use a permanent pencil, or you could use a paint pen. Okay, so this is a Stabilo All Black, and it's like the blackest of grungiest of all the marker of all the water soluble choices out there. Okay, so I'm gonna also put like a big line here. I'm trying to match what I have going on my other one so they become a little set. Okay, so I'm gonna also outline our little guy here. And we can outline our scythe. Okie doke. And then outline his eyes. And I actually am gonna not do his pupils because we need to actually reapply some white paint so that they become white and they're not all gray and gross, which is what they are right now. Okay, so I did that. So we don't go until the sealer layer until we're all done with all of the layers. So are we done with the Stabilo? Are we done with painting? And I haven't used the gelato, so I'm going to show that to you now. So gelato is another fun art supply to use, and it is lumped in here with layer 3. And by the way, when you request the Hamburger PDF, you get both of these PDFs together, just so you know. All right, so let's say I'll start like for his little face. Ooh, sorry, I'm trying unsuccessfully to zoom in. If I want to kind of like accentuate some of this orange. Now gelatos are also water soluble, but they're not as much as the Stabilo. The Stabilo is like violently water soluble, and the gelatos are just lovingly blendable. So I could add some more orange there to get that, punch it up a little bit. And then I could add, say, some white here to soften and brighten his little face. Because he's so cute. I could also add some yellow there, actually. It might be better than just the white. And gelatos are really fun. They come in lots of colors. It's getting mucked up and dirty because of the Stabilo in there. So I'm actually just going to throw a paintbrush across the room, apparently. I'm actually going to add in a little orange paint. It's getting all messed up with the overuse of my Stabilo. So as long as we haven't sealed yet, you can just keep working with the acrylic and the gelatos and the paint and the gesso if you need to gesso. And in fact, I will add the whites of the eyes now. Oh my God, me flailing paintbrushes today. I am gonna redefine these with some white acrylic. And I'm actually just gonna paint over these. And I will do the pupils instead with a marker, so they're like super precise. So I want these eyes to be punchy. For starters, just noticed the black stripe on my finger. I don't even know when that happened. All right. Okay. Awesome possum. All right, so we're going to dry that, and then we are finally, I'm going to add a little yellow, I think. I'm going to go grab some yellow gelato and dry this, and then we'll do the sealer layer. Okay, it's looking so good. I found this light orange in my gelato stash, so I thought maybe that would be a better. Still trying to brighten it up in the center. So gelatos is my cheat to like not having to blend with paint. You can blend with gelatos instead because it's a lot easier. Now I can add a little white and then trying to get that glow more towards the center. So it's like darker around the edges and then a little bit lighter in the middle. All right. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right, now we are finally, I'm all done with the painting. We're all done with the gelatos. I'm all done with the Stabilo, and now we finally get to layer 4, which is our sealer layer. And from this graphic, we are here. So you can use fine art materials. I'm just addicted to Mod Podge. But you can use, I have a whole video on Mod Podge alternatives. So I will link to that for you as well. Do I need to open a whole new one? I guess so. All right. So it's so fun, and it dries in like 2 minutes, which is also amazing. And then we get to like decorate things on top in marker. So this is where we're completely switching gears. Okay, we're gonna coat the whole entire canvas panel. Have a few foam brushes laying around for this. Because if one gets really mucky and dirty, all you need to do is like switch it out with a clean one. Okay, so it's gonna activate everything that hasn't been activated yet. So there's some Stabilo chunks that are in here. Okay, so when I hit my pumpkins, and what you wanna do is you're gonna steer it. You're almost like painting with the Mod Podge. Okay, you're gonna steer it, steering it. So it's like your brush strokes matter, as if this was paint. Okay. Now this is all nice and grungy now. And so what I'm going to do is, it's actually fine because I want this painting to match my other one, remember? So my other one is really grungy, and so this is fine. I want this one to also be grungy. Okay, so now I'm gonna smear this down so I get my scythe coated. Okay, whoop. And everything needs to be coated again. Okay, so we're gonna steer our Mod Podge around these areas, and it's super grungy and dirty, which is why I said you can have some clean ones kind of waiting in the wings for you if you need to. Oh, that's disgusting. Here and there. Okay. So I used way too much. You can obviously like just do this a lot more sparingly than I'm doing it. I just am addicted to this step. So I go balls to the wall. But you can just pour a little Mod Podge into a little cup and apply it sparingly. So I'm going to switch to a clean one to just tidy this up. If it's too thick, it also takes a long time to dry, so this will kind of smooth it out. So you're going to go in, activate, and then get out. And I'm just going to let it be the mess that it is. And then I'll show you how we clean it up with the markers. Okay. Just spreading the grunge out a little bit. And it looks like this is the only spot that didn't get hit. So just make sure it's all consistent. Okay, and when it's all covered, then you're gonna get your hairdryer out and dry everything. All right, my friends, so this is all dry. I just took 2 minutes with my hairdryer. All right, so where are we in the burger? We are up here, which is the most fun part ever. So pigment pens, and there's really 2 main ones that I use, and there's only about 3 available that even exist. There's one by Faber-Castell, which are called Pitt pens, and they've been around for a very long time. And the other one is by Staedtler, and they're relatively new. The ink is the same. They're filled with an India colored ink inside, and when you apply them, there is a little window of like, I don't know, 10 seconds where you can use your finger to like blend them on top. So if we wanted to punch up our orange of our pumpkins, okay, we could use the ink from the Pitt pens to kind of like zazz these up, add a little color. And they come in lots of colors. The Staedtler ones are a lot more budget friendly than the Pitt pens, but these Pitt pens are so wonderful. They're so luscious. You can also use them as the layer 3, the under layer too. You don't have to save them for on top, although I always do. Okay, and the sealer layer is what makes them work so well, because you can blend them out, because the sealer makes this like slippery, yummy surface. And then all you need is a finger to get those blended in and punched up, which is awesome. Okay, so you can use Pitt pens on this layer anywhere. You can also use your paint pens to, you know, define things and have a little refine party. So I could use either a Pitt pen or a paint pen. Now the paint pens don't have that same ability really to blend and things like I just did with my finger. So I switched to a paint pen when I'm ready to like draw and refine on top. All right, so I'm just gonna outline my pumpkins a little bit so you can see them better. Okay, and now too, I just want to show you, see how the kind of grunge matches? This grungy is starting to match this grungy. So I know it feels terrifying to add the sealer layer, but like we're doing it all on purpose. And I am following my reference. So I'm just gonna outline my scythe. And we can also outline like his fingers and little hand there. And same thing with our scythe, and I can go whing. Cool. Just being sloppy as you do. And this guy can get outlined too. And we can outline his little fingers and his little facey, which is sticking out. And we'll add some spiders. Right now we're just kind of outlining so we can see all the little details better. All right, how about some spiders? Let's go match up some of the spiders and the webs, and then we'll do his eyes last. I always save the eyes for last. All right, so I have this web on the left-hand side. I'm going to make a matching one on the right. So with my paint pen, I'm just going to come down here. I'm going to start with just outlining a little section here and here, and then I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, here we'll add 4, make it slightly different. And then we just do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can go in here as tight as you want to. 1, 2, we do the webby part. And so that way when they're hanging next to each other on my wall, they will kind of line up there. And of course you can add any of the little details that you like. But that helps fill in this whole corner. And I think this should also have a little dangly spider that comes off. So spiders are really fun to make, I think. So you make a little body, okay? And then you just count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you add on to those segments as well. So 1, 2. You just add them, and these can go anywhere you want, which is also really fun. So this one is creeping, crawling, going down, and that's how easy it is to make a spider. So we can have one over there. Ooh, I think it would be cool to have one dangling off of his scythe for sure. Let's do another one. Okay, a little body, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then any direction the next ones go, and you can make them super long. Like, it's so easy to kind of just like pop them in here, there, and everywhere. Okay, so what else are we missing? Let's do his little eyeballs, which are so cute. I'm gonna whiten up this area a little bit first. I don't normally like to paint over the Mod Podge because it's like a slick surface, and actually I'm going to use gesso instead to kind of brighten up These got a little extra dirty. I don't mind a little dirty because it's ghosty Halloween. And gesso is the right choice also because it's a surface prep. So since we'll be painting on top, it makes sense we would be prepping the surface so we can paint the little people on top. And I do want some of the grunge to show through. We worked hard on that grunge, so it's a little bit more transparent than just acrylic white. Okay, so we have that brightened up a little bit. And now I can take my paint pen and we're gonna outline this. Oh, I really should have waited till that was like dry. You really should never put your never put a marker into wet paint like I just did. That's like a huge no-no. Just gonna dry this really quick. Okay, and now I'm gonna use I'm actually gonna use a little circle template. With eyes, it's like weirdly important to actually make a really perfect circle sometimes with eyes. That's why the baby boo is like, his level of cuteness is sometimes directly related to how nicely your circles are made. I've come to discover after a few years of drawing cute characters. So this one will have small, I think the smaller looks cuter. So we're going to do one here and one here. Okay. Oh, he is so cute. And then we're going to just take a little, where's my gesso go? Oh, I'm actually just like scooping it from like the lid, the cap. I'll zoom in and we'll just do like a little swish on the top and a little swish on the top. You can use a paint pen for this as well. I'll probably add a little bit more with a white paint pen. Okay, so his eyes get a little clear. And then what we also need to do is since I'm trying to make my canvases kind of go together a little bit, is I want to add a lot of white as well. I'm just gonna punch up my poor pumpkins got a little bit over stabiloed. So I'm just trying to get them a little bit more orange. And then we get to play with our whites. So you can use the white Pitt pen. I'll just use a white Posca pen. I'm gonna add a little bit more of a, let me get my ink flowing first of all. There we go, shake that up. Give me a little dot and a little dot in his eyes. And as you can see with the baby boo, there's just tons and tons of white highlights everywhere. So I want these to go together. So I'm going to do something similar with this one. So we could do like this white scythe for sure. Could have a big old like shing highlight on it. Right? Same thing with this. Just a nice bold all the way down, but also his fingers, we couldn't see his fingers at all, but now we can because we just highlighted them with some white. You can also almost highlight the top of his fingers over there, and it's like, oh yes, now we can see them. And here are kind of his fabric around his face. Oh my gosh, so cute. And now, holy moly, we can definitely see that. And we can basically outline lots of things. And what's so great about doing this kind of stuff is like you can try out these bold moves on holidays like Halloween, when you're just doing things for fun, or you're doing things to decorate with your kids or your grandkids, and you can try on these like bold moves that you normally would never do on, like, if you were being precious about a painting, you know what I mean? So I highly recommend using Halloween as an excuse to really go for stuff and like try new things. Now I have a lot of polka dots happening with my other painting as well that we're trying to match up, so I'm gonna do the same on this one. Oh, and something else I just noticed as well. I'm gonna polka dot this up. I just almost said polka dot, which doesn't actually mean anything. Oh yeah, this one, I guess this one can even have a little white too, although the background is lighter, so we can't do as much, unfortunately. But we can do these dots, these little energy dots, I like to call them. Oh, just had a big, something weird was on my canvas. Okay, do lots of little dots. Maybe put a dot in that like marred area there. And maybe even put a little ending so you can kind of see it better there. What else? Oh, say, let's put on these polka dots. Oh, I have all these pink polka dots everywhere. Okay, I love that. So let's get some pink polka dots going. Get my pink paint. Again, we want these to match. You can also use the back of a paintbrush to make really nice dots. I hardly have any pink in the background for this, but it doesn't mean I still can't do some dots. Now, this is giving me crappy ones. I just was gifted, oh, here it is. I was gifted this cool little dot maker. It does do a really nice job. So by having some of the same color dots as this one as my other canvas, that will help to marry them together when they are no doubt hanging proudly on my wall. You can also hang these canvas panels. You can use just a regular frame, but you can also just use, I used to do this when I taught kids. I would just hot glue like a black ribbon from either side, and then you can hang it like that. You could tie it with a bow up at the top, which is also so cute. I'm a little obsessed with the pink dots. Are like super unexpected, especially when you don't even like have. And then I think we're gonna need some black ones too. And the other thing that I didn't do, which I think I actually need to, is the other thing that makes this guy so adorable is all these like squiggles everywhere. I don't have any squiggles on my guy yet, so I think we could squiggle him up as well before we go. So we're gonna have these little, these little scraggle muffin bits. Sometimes I will do this with my non-dominant hand also. These little details, which is why I always use a reference, because I would never think to be like, makes little squiggly bits off of anywhere. That's where the references are so powerful, because it just gives you these ideas that you don't necessarily come up with on your own, and it's just inspired by what you're seeing. Even the little scythe has little squiggles. So do as much of those or as little as you want, but it definitely makes it so adorable. I'm gonna keep the squiggles off of the scythe part, but add them to like to that part. And then yeah, we'll make some little black dots too, and then we're all done. All right, so one thing you should know is if you like the Hamburger system, there are tons tons of projects in the Mixed Media Society that all use this technique, but they're like completely different projects. Like lots of funky faces and figures. Grandmas. I have a whole grandma series. I have a button girl series, all using this same process. And we are having a price increase for the first time since 2023. And that is happening on November 1st. So if you want to come and join us, and that will lock in the rate that it currently is at, that will lock you in. So now is a really good time to try it out. You can always cancel, but if you've been wanting to try it or waiting, now is the cheapest it quite literally will ever be. And it's right now it's $33 a month, but I can give you a coupon. If you've never joined me before, you can use the coupon 75 off to come in for 8 if you want to try it out. And then if you stay, you lock your price in, which is important because it's going up, like I said. And that coupon is also expiring on the 1st. So I'm just trying to give people a lot of runway and let everybody know. Because they're like, crap, I didn't know. I've been waiting, or I've been on the fence. And it's like, okay, there's a big price thing happening. So I just want you to be in the loop. All right, my friends. Okay, I feel like we are done. See how they look side by side. My little boos. I can't even fit it in the shot. But I love him so much. He is just adorable. And I hope, if anything, you learned something new. You enjoyed learning about the hamburger system. Yep, and then you can seal again. This is my last step, is I will just now seal this puppy all the way one more time. And then he's done forever. And I lost his eye. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll be back next week with another fun project. All right, bye.